Okay.
Bless you.
First order of business is approve the minutes of the October 2nd, 2024 election board meeting. Is there a motion? There's second. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Approve the minutes of the general election, November 5th of 2024 through November 25th of 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Sarah, news on Chestnut Hill 1 and 4 polling locations.
The West End Fire Company built a new fire hall across from the old one, and I was notified after the election that it's going up for sale. So I'm looking, and it cannot house us. So
The new facility
new
cannot.
facility, right? So I'm looking. I have 3 potential places I'm looking at. I reached out to the Chestnut Hill Board of Supervisors about the locations I'm looking at, and they're going to get back to me. So I'll continue mine.
Your quest?
Yes.
Excellent. Next year, election dates of the 2025 municipal election. The primary is May 20th of 25, and the general is November 4th of 25. I guess that's from upon high, right?
Yes.
We'll start our next meeting on February 5th of 25. So put that in your calendars. Other cameras, Sarah?
That was you that wanted to on there.
That was me?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that everybody knows that the cameras that are in the libraries have been disabled. So there is no video of any time being taken when it is not an election point of time. So everybody is aware of that. And then we have the 5-year voter roll maintenance.
We'll begin in the next 2 weeks. We're going to take out those voters who meet that threshold. And then in the new year, we'll start our new 5-year voter roll maintenance.
Okay. Anything else? No. Voter reg is kind of in its kind of quiet now mode? No. I don't think so. Just checking. Public comment.
Let me ask you questions.
Yeah.
About what?
The voter roll.
Yeah.
The process, I think it's important that when you go through it, you notify those folks before they're withdrawn from the list.
They've been notified 2 times.
Okay, well, I think that's important to verbalize that.
Yeah, so you said that you're going to finalize, that would be people who've already received notice, and then in January you start the process for sending notice to folks who should get it.
The second, another new
batch of people will get their first notice.
Correct.
A new batch of people get their first notice in January via postcards in the mail,
Letters.
Letters.
letters in the mail.
Postcards.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Sarah, can you remind us what the threshold is
2 federal elections?
for the for purging the?
That's correct.
Presidential.
2 federal elections. That's correct. Anything else?
Yes. There are some items that happened on election day. So being the election integrity chairperson for the Republican committee, I'd just like to bring some things to the attention of the board and the election office. Is that we had probably about 90 people go out as poll watchers for the Republican Party. Also, some people were independent, and I don't know if it could be for next time and then in the future, is that the poll watcher certificates, because I had some people that were registered independents, and they had Trump, and the Republicans had Trump on their poll watcher certificates, but there's no way for the judge of elections to know if it's a different party or not. So I don't know if that could be put on a certificate. Because I had people, you know what I mean, there were two people showing up for Trump, and they were part of the Republican Party, but not necessarily because there were people that also were independents. And can that be put on the certificate?
That goes on in the primary on the certificate, but not in November.
But not November, anybody can.
Is there any,
Anybody can be a,
Is a candidate allowed to have more than one if they're on different parties?
not in the precinct at one time though, so that's where we were running into some issues.
Well, I know, but I don't know if it makes a difference just because they're a different party. Does that mean they
It's-
should be able to have two?
And it's one per, isn't it one per?
It's just one per candidate, so it would still be, it wouldn't change anything.
the fact that,
So then I guess it could, go ahead.
no, I'm just saying, the fact that I sign up as a poll watcher and I'm an independent, and you sign up as a poll watcher as a Republican, and we're both for Trump, but I'm there first, you're saying that that's not fair?
I'm saying that people that they both had Trump on their certificate,
Right.
and there could be independents that want to vote for Trump.
But,
So
but he wouldn't assign people as a poll watcher who are necessarily independent. I don't know if he can. So
I mean, I voted for people that were from the Constitutional Party.
you're talking about voting for someone being a poll watcher.
So, but anybody on the ballot. So then, do I need to tell these people? So then I need to tell people if they're independent, vote for somebody, put somebody independent on their certificate.
Because it depends who they're poll watching for.
Are you talking about voting or poll watching? Okay.
So some poll watchers, they want to vote for a different party than was.
Vote or represent for?
Okay.
Watch.
I'm just saying,
So
that's
then
where we're
I-
getting,
What do I need to do different than make sure that these people that are,
nothing you
If
can
there's
do.
anything that you can do differently, someone who's an independent who wants to be a poll watcher, they're going in for as a candidate. I don't think you can determine who,
but I,
you can determine what an independent poll watcher, what candidates they're there for.
but I'm handing in the poll watcher certificates, and if I'm placing people at different precincts, then I need to know who can be in the precinct at what time.
No, no.
I mean,
But
you're doing
you
it
have
for the
two people-
Republicans. But you don't control all of it for the candidate. So I think that's the problem. It's
I'm
per
just trying-
candidate for poll watchers, not per party.
So that's what I'm saying. So I need to make sure that I have it. So next time I'll make sure that people have their proper candidate on their form. Okay, and so then another thing was that it's on election day at Strat 2, this was sent to me that the judge of elections, Una Misha, that she was outside at 7:38 a.m. at the Democratic table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the third election at the Democratic table.
And then there was also at Cuba 2, the person who was registering people who weren't registered, they went outside. If they weren't registered, they went inside the polling precinct. And if they weren't registered, he was registering them on his computer. And I was told that it wasn't against the law, but just wanted you to know that here he is. He's out at his car. He's registering people, and he told people to go back in and do a provisional vote. And I have a close-up there. It is. They said his name was Ari. And he said he was a lawyer, but I don't know how true that is. And then there were other instances where poll watchers were letting the judge, so this goes along with the.
Great, but we're gonna ask you either to stand at the podium or back at your seat.
This goes along with the judge of elections being more
Informed about their procedures, and I had multiple people calling me up on November 5th, telling me that the judge of elections was actually giving people provisional ballots when they should have been giving them regular ballots when they handed in their mail-in ballots. So people were handing in their mail-in ballots. The judge of elections was handing people provisionals, as we know that happened. But also too, is there were plenty of, quite a few, at least 6 different calls that I got where judge of elections were not writing spoiled or void on the ballots. They would only write it on the envelope. And then we also have where the poll watchers, it's in the law that poll watchers should be able to hear people's names being called out. And then here's different diagrams that people sent me of poll watchers, where poll watchers were situated in the corner of a room and they couldn't hear what was going on. And then there was also, what's the second page? Then over here, we had Robert Hackenberg from Right Count. He was at the polling precinct at Colby-Hannock East, and he says that he was from the state government and he was interviewing poll watchers. And I don't know how that judge of elections allowed that to happen. So he was there at 7:19 p.m. talking with poll watchers, asking them about their experience. Who was?
It's Robert Hackenberg. He's a gentleman that came in the office. He's on the state committee that Governor Shapiro together with. It's primarily Republicans on that committee. So he's just trying to learn about the process, but I don't know if he was doing anything out of turn.
He was talking to poll watchers?
He's talking with poll watchers, asking what I have there. But
Speak with poll watchers for their opinions and ideas and suggestions. You know,
at the polling,
he's going to report back to a committee about, you know, what he witnessed and ideas for making voting better.
Inside or outside?
because I understand inside.
Department? Is that okay? Committee, the name of that committee exists. I know there was one, but I forget what the name of that is.
Oh, on here it says right count. I don't know that that's it, but
I don't think that.
I can ask him what the name of it is, but I mean,
I looked at
Governor
Shapiro.
no, well, no, but the former Governor Schweiker is on it.
there's two.
Other stakeholders throughout the state are on it.
Dane?
I just wanted to ask, and if you can educate me perhaps, is it legal to take pictures of people without them knowing? Just asking, throwing it out there. Anyone at the polls?
Outside the polls, it's fine.
If you said it happened inside, that's why I'm asking. I mean, you need to notify those people.
Well,
There's no pictures.
Okay, let's. Okay.
and I have a picture of a poll of a
So it happened
Democrat.
inside. Got it. Didn't happen.
He had
Different things.
a Dem voter,
Some things were inside, some were out.
a Dem voter protection badge, and he actually let Christine Wilkins take a picture of him. And the judge of elections, when Christine Wilkins was standing right next to him, the judge of elections said she didn't have a problem with his Dem voter protection badge on.
Inside.
In
That was
relation,
inside.
Hold on, please.
in,
Oh,
in
first of
relation,
all, we don't curse here, please.
in relation to the Dem voter protections, that was brought to our attention by Mr. Begley. I provided him with my personal cell phone that he could reach out to me if there was a problem. Penny spoke to, you asked me if we reach out to the judge of elections. Penny spoke to every judge of election and told them that those badges should not be inside for poll workers.
Which I did inform Pete of that as well.
So when we learned of it, we took what actions we could to make sure those folks weren't in there. We reached out to every judge of election, and you had my number if someone had a problem that I could have reached out to them as well.
Yes, I called you at one point. It was Stroud 4, the judge of elections, and this is what the lanyard they were wearing looked like. It says the word Dems on it. That's completely, I don't want to say illegal, but definitely not allowed. You can't wear
Poll watchers.
Yeah. And, but the judge of elections, you know, I was in that place a half hour, and it was my intention to get to every polling place that day. But because most every place that I went to had Democrats wearing these lanyards and refusing to take them off until I said, well, I'm going to call a county solicitor. It just wasted a lot of time.
We understand that it wasn't an issue we knew about prior to it. And as soon as we were aware of the issue, we took steps to remedy it. So.
Right.
But what
It
happened
can't happen.
to violators?
Nothing. I mean, I don't know what they would be charged with. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't remember what the poll watcher certificate looks like. I believe it's two-sided. Now, with that said, is there like basic rules to help guide the poll watchers on the certificate as far as what they can and can't do? Or I don't remember. I never worked as poll watcher. I was always an inspector of elections.
There is, and since this election, I added badges to it, but I'm
Okay.
not allowed to wear any badges.
So no stinking.
Don't need no stinking badges? I'm sorry.
Stinking badges.
That exact language.
Anything else?
Yeah, there were DJs,
Yeah.
parking lots, and you could hear the music while you're placing a vote in churches, no less. Why was this allowed? That's not good. It's a somber occasion, and I'm hearing dance music.
Well,
Holding.
that's okay.
Yeah, well, civic duty implies somberness.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Be allowed going forward, or?
I would have to search the litigation or the rules of law to find out whether DJs are allowed or not. I will ask Mr. Mancuso to see whether DJs are allowed in public. Yes, sir.
I'm glad you're asking this.
If I could just comment on that, John, I think we should look into if they're gonna be there or whether they can or not.
I'm not being flip. I was going to ask him.
No, I know, but I mean, the volume, we could still ask them. I've heard, at least one location where they could hear it inside, and they were supposed to be sensitive to volume. And when I talked to the gentleman out front, came here, he said that was the case, so we can at least reach out to them.
I don't even know who put them there, who.
Well,
Tell us.
Roll over.
They wouldn't tell us. They
some nonprofit music.
Dan?
Well, actually, I was outside the administration building after like 6 to 8, and there was a fellow playing music, and I asked him, please don't play it too loud because my hearing's going. What about an inspector of election or a constable who has a truck full of partisan signs parked right outside the polling place? Is there an objection to that?
What's the difference?
Yeah, what's the difference with, they're 10 feet from the door.
Feet from the door, it's okay, even if they're being paid by the county.
Personal vehicle?
It's a personal vehicle.
Yeah, I'm,
Yep. No, I don't have anything. Nope. Can't do anything about it.
okay, thank you.
Yes?
John, did you have something?
Yeah.
John had his hand up before me. I just don't want you to dismiss.
Change the subject. Are you looking to put Chestnut Hill 1 and 4 in 2 different places, or, because you mentioned there's 3 locations we're looking at?
We might have to put it in 2 different locations.
Oh, it's
Definitely.
gonna be 2 different places.
Not all bad.
It's all good.
I just want. It is good. It is good because people are involved in the process. That's
Yeah.
even though we drive you guys nuts, we're involved in the process. That's what we want. So I was a poll watcher / greeter / at Polk Township, where we had over 3,500 voting that day. So it was a busy day. I think that the cones that were set up, they did it appropriately. I think back to the one part where is the most troublesome at Polk though was, and I don't think this is your part, I don't know, but it's like the Board of Elections part, but the parking, they weren't prepared on their side, meaning the firehouse, where they should be parking because they have a parking spot to the one side. And I think everybody was parking on a grass spot that they should not have been. So I don't know if anybody's communicated that with you. And that might just be on the firehouse side. So that was not negative. I'm just making an observation so that it's brought up. After 1 p.m., they did open another poll book, which was very helpful. That was expedited the process at night because the morning the lines were long, but the people were grateful and gracious. And I think the other part to Polk Township was the firehouse does their fundraiser inside, so people look forward to that. So those were the good positive parts. A little bit of the confusing part at the beginning was a little bit of a learning curve and I think this is to the point about the DJs that I think is a safety issue for some things. And
either the place that we're using doesn't know these people are coming to set up, or as our Board of Elections didn't know they were coming to set up, and it's independent. But we also had 2 fundraisers going on at Polk Township, which is a great thing because it's a fundraiser helping good things like the Veterans Memorial in Polk Township was being fundraised for. Then the firehouse was being fundraised for. But then we had a whole other issue with there's no signage or entrance for the people who are handicapped. Either they filled out the appropriate paperwork before coming that day to vote, or they were there that day and needed assistance. And the judge of elections, God bless her, was extremely busy at Polk, running around trying to deal with all of the other issues because of the number of provisionals that we had at Polk, or the number of issues that we had at Polk with the people not showing up in the SURE system on the poll pad. Again, not any problems that can't be dealt with if we work together, I think, and either an education process, who does that on the judge of election side, making sure the precinct is covered with proper signage for the handicap. And I felt that as a poll watcher, I was very careful when your friends come through, I can't talk to you. I mean, that was my line to people. I can't talk, I'm poll watching. But yet we had people with the voter protection badge on inside, and yes, it was handled because I was the one who called Pete, or Annie called Pete, because I turned over the back of the watcher certificate, reread it, and it specifically said there. So it was already there. It's a matter of interpretation or education. Because Joan said to us, did you read your poll watcher certificate? She said it. Yeah, we read it. But then they still had that on. But it was handled, yes, to some degree, because then the person tried to scratch out the word damn. It's like, but Joan handled it. She did handle it. So again, back to the reason I'm bringing all of this up is this a handicap issue and how we are serving the voters. And if we can help with those ideas, if we have to talk about those ideas, because I think at Chestnut Hill 1, there were some people being moved around in lines into maybe bad areas. And I don't know all that. I just heard it from a story from the constable. The closing was the most learning curve for me, even though I've been trying to understand the whole process from opening to closing at a precinct level. It was hard to see the tapes. You know, it's a moment where the poll watchers have a right to see those tapes. Some of the poll workers and even a judge of election have a fear of letting that be seen, and that's just a learning curve for all of us. I was at fault in the sense that there were 3 machines. One of the tapes did not print. When I asked the judge and the worker, they said they didn't know how to reprint it, and I don't think they called. So it's all a learning curve, and I think it's important that I did request, and I was late. I requested. I said, can we have a copy of that tape because it is within the law. We know the minority inspector goes home with the tape, but I did request it because it's within the law that the poll watcher could request it. And I think that was a problem in the sense that we had a tape that wasn't clear and it wasn't handled immediately. And again, it wasn't on the office. It was like, I didn't push them. They didn't push it. They should know how to reprint it if you can't see what prints out on the tape. So I think that was my biggest things, and there's probably more, and maybe someday we'll sit and talk about it. There were many people. It was a very confusing day for judge of elections because there were many people. We had people going out into the parking lot saying, I can't even get a provisional. I can't even track those people because it's an uncomfortable position. You don't want to be chasing people, but there were people leaving, not even getting an opportunity to vote with a provisional. Where all this chaos came from, I don't know, because as a poll watcher, I'm going to be careful what I say. I'm going to stay within the law and stay within my bounds. A big part of what happened to me at Polk, and there was no fight back from the judge of elections. I couldn't see anything that was happening because of the lines in front of me, where our table was positioned. I couldn't see anything that was happening with the provision or the mail-in ballot that was surrendered. And there were times where from across the room, many feet across the room through crowds of people, it looked like it was just being thrown in, the envelope without the word spoil on it. I did ask Joan about it at the end of the evening. Again, a learning curve, a communication curve where the judge of elections, I did move at one point so I could see without speaking to people, and I wasn't interfering or saying anything because it is a learning curve for all of us. And judge of elections just the same. It's a learning curve for them to understand it is within the law for poll watchers as long as everyone is obeying the law, to be able to see and hear what was going on. So that's just my observations for the day. Thank you.
You do have to remember, and please, I mean, I think it's fantastic that we had a 78%, you know,
Absolutely.
had a lot of people that had not voted
Absolutely.
recently, did not know the systems and so on. Therefore, you know, that was the huge uptick in 1,600 provisional ballots, because some of them weren't eligible to vote, you know, because they hadn't been.
Well, is that a problem though? Again, the human side of things were handled pretty well considering the situation. But is it a system within, is it a problem within the SURE system or the registration system or the law? I'm not asking.
No. Oftentimes it's the fat finger syndrome when we're trying to find somebody. Okay. I was very appreciative that you are now on board for the electronic poll books, because that was so able to come out and take care of Polk.
Did you say that? Did I?
Yeah.
She did say that.
When the poll book came out, another poll book came out.
I don't know what I'm in charge of.
Exactly what I heard.
I don't want to speak anymore in public. I'm just saying, can I say something off the record? Okay.
Go ahead, in the back.
I was just wondering if moving forward, there's plans to provide extra training or even replacing people, because there have been a number of people that.
First of all, people are elected.
Well, judges are elected.
Judges are elected.
So is there more training that can be available, since a number of people who work the elections have expressed confusion and misunderstanding? Is there something we can do?
They have videos of every scenario that can come up. They have the ability to pull it up and review a video. We have.
Is that guidance from the state, or that's just per county?
It's
Per county.
per county, and we have people come in for training. We tape the training. They have access to the tape of the training. So any question that they might have, either they can always call the office or they can refer to their tapes.
You have to remember too, in a presidential election, things come up that normally do not come. I mean, it's a whole different ballgame.
Even before the election, it seemed like there was a lot of confusion.
Well, I know that they do an awful, you know, like, for example, the fact that it didn't print, you know, that's an outlier for a tape not to be able to print. You know, it's not a common occurrence, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. And they could have called and we could have walked them through
It should
it.
have been done.
But they also, you know, they're closing. There's a sensitive.
We had no one in, and we literally, I think, had 2 people from 7 to 8 p.m. It was dead, 7 to 8. So nobody should have been tired. We were up since 4 o'clock. I didn't sleep the night before. It's a day of civic duty. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if it's practical or realistic with regards to the judges of election and inspectors. Is it possible to have like a post meeting between the Board of Elections and those people, just to bounce ideas and things of that nature, or hiccups to help things move forward in the future?
What we do
debrief.
No, what we do is we do try to, you know, roll into anything that has occurred into new training so that we can always, you know, bring this up in the next one. I know that Penny will reach out to some of them and get their feedback, and we'll move forward. The thing is that you're asking people to come in, you know, that's not necessarily.
For training.
We do pay them for training, but the thing is that you're asking, some people want to put it behind them. Is there anything else? Yes.
I'd just like to say that I was watching on COPA too. And I was there for the opening and I was there for the closing. And the judge of elections there, Margaret, I forgot her name. She was great. She explained everything to us when we came in. She showed us the zeros on the machines. I had to go and poll watch somewhere else in the middle of the day. And then I came back for the closing. I did see that gentleman in the parking lot, and I actually approached him. He was from New York and he was an attorney, and he was trying to register people there outside. But during the closing, everything was great. They explained everything to us, her and her daughter. There were nothing but anything we wanted to know, they were ready to answer our questions. And I so happened that the Democrat poll watcher that came in is a friend of mine, and he was wearing a lanyard. and he just put it under his shirt.
Mhm.
So we just caught up. So it was a great day for me. I have no complaints.
If there's no objection, go ahead, David.
Well, I think it's just to find out when some things have been brought up. Is it okay for a judge of elections to walk out front of people? I know that's been done before. I don't know. It's not.
What they were doing. They were, and I know Penny did talk to her
Yes, I
after
did.
we got a complaint.
Okay.
Which one?
Stroud too.
Stroud
I
too.
contacted
Yeah.
her. It wasn't Luna, but Stroud too.
Oh, look, is Luna the judge there?
No.
No. Then, I mean, then Luna would have been at the table anyway. If he's not. He's not working. That's what he does. So if he's not the judge, then that's. Not a,
I have pictures.
Vaguely?
backup might be.
Yeah,
Because I
just
received that
a
as an email.
few questions about the drop boxes. How long were the video cameras on?
On during the meeting, during the times that they were, when the Dropbox was open, that's when the cameras were on.
Was that about 3 weeks, a month?
The length of time that we had the boxes out, about that, yeah.
Right. Did anyone view the video footage?
We watched it. I have it on my computer. I was able to see it.
I-
I didn't see anything nefarious.
No anomalies?
No.
And in the future, since there's such an immense amount of footage, will it be available, like this meeting is being live streamed? Will that camera be
No.
live streamed?
No. There's no reason for any, there is a sense of privacy in a library. And if you were to live stream that, then I'm sure the libraries would say you can take your drop boxes elsewhere because.
What about the Dropbox here in the hallway?
Again, I see no advantage to the live streaming of a Dropbox. I mean, it's like.
Some of us keep, non-business hours. I go to sleep pretty late. And if I had the opportunity to say, all right, well, let me just check the camera today, make sure everything's okay, watch it on high speed.
I think that is the responsibility of the election board and not necessarily for the public to view. That's our job.
Well, there's 8 hours a day for a month.
Right.
So you're not trying to convince us that.
No, I don't.
Watched 8 hours of footage.
No, I do not think so either. No, but I don't think.
Wouldn't it be advantageous that the general public could,
No.
Democrat Party could say, okay, well, you watch from 8 to 12, you watch from 12 to 4, he's going to watch 4 to 8. We're going to make sure no one cheated today.
No.
This isn't good.
I do not think.
The people and for the people.
There were other counties that did live stream.
Very good. If there's nothing else, I just want to read a letter from Mr. Gardner to the board here. I can't make Wednesday's meeting because I have a funeral in Philadelphia. For what it's worth, if I can I would like to say something like this. I'm proud of our commissioners and even prouder of Sarah and her staff. They faced yet again unprecedented circumstances, unprecedented traffic at the office, distractions, long days, nights, and weekends. They responded. They were polite, patient, and compassionate. They were proactive, for example, with the insert of the mail-in ballot envelopes. They conducted a free and fair election. They promoted participation in drop boxes, even against those seeking to restrict those citizens' voices. They had to divert time and attention to people with different ideas and second-guessing them with conspiracies. They timely conducted and completed all mail-in ballot canvasses. They were and they are the gold standard. And then they managed the provisional vote challenges, a provisional vote hearing where anyone who wanted to be heard was heard, in the provisional court appeal. At the same time, they managed to recount, including public adjudication of unclear ballots. At the same time, a 2% recount was done, all the more timely indeed ahead of time. And then the DOS punished them with requiring yet another audit, and they managed that. All the while, the commissioners still ran the county government, and we are fortunate here in Monroe County. That being said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
There's also a couple of other things.
Teresa, you can write it down to us, but you have had way more than your 3 minutes, okay? And behind you, ma'am?
Hi, thanks. I'll be quick. I was at Barrett too as a poll watcher the day of election day, and overall, I was very impressed with how well they handled the large number of people that were outside. And I think at Barrett that gets lost because the line is inside the building, and it was there the whole day. That being said, as a poll watcher, I would like to ask that the judge of elections at Barrett 2 is clarified that there has to be some level that we can walk around. We were sent to the corner and told that was the only place we could be. And once the line formed from where we sat in the corner, you could see nothing else in the room except the line of voters going to register. We could hear nothing or watch nothing. And while I don't believe anything of negativity occurred, the point of the poll watching is to ensure that it stays that way. So it is important that you can move around and experience the situation that is occurring. On top of that, I do want to address, I was very uncomfortable with how comfortable the judge of elections was leaving the building during the day and standing outside talking to the political greeters outside. When I was working as a poll worker, we were told to stay within the vicinity for the day. I'm not sure if that rule has changed, but I would like that to be addressed. On top of that, during cleanup, Barrett 2 was cleaning up by 25 after 7. We only had one station and one booth to have a voter go in. And while the numbers were very low, between 7 and 8, I feel that anybody who walks up to the door should get the same vibe the person got when we first opened in the morning. And that was not the case at our site. In addition to that, during cleanup, the judge of elections took care of the entire process. She sent all of the poll workers to clean up the kitchen, clean up the food, clean up the buffet they had in the kitchen, vacuuming the floor. The judge of elections printed the tabs, did the counts, did the paperwork, and much of the guided packing. I'm not exactly sure of what that process is, but I feel that there was no checks and balances during that entire process. And after the fight we had to experience what was going on in the room, I have concerns about what's happening at my local polling station. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I was in the East Stroudsburg, one of the precincts there, and also experienced a similar thing where the judge of elections would leave the polling place and walk outside and speak with one of the poll greeters who was seated, I would say, 10.1 feet away from the door. And there were numerous occasions where we had to go outside and say, "Hey, judge, you need to come in because it's an issue you need to resolve."
Thank you.
They could have been going out because we called about a complaint to talk to someone.
No, he was chatting. He wasn't like talking on the phone to somebody.
Go ahead.
I realize Sarah probably understands as well as anybody else. I just want to reiterate the importance of when you find a new location, for Chestnut Hill 1 and 4, it really does need to be separate structures. Because
I know.
That's one of the biggest challenges we have is people online for a long time.
I know.
So yes, please, and thank you.
All right.
All right.
Motion? Sharon?
Yes, motion.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Jackson between. It works.